If you fly through the dense Andean cloud forest, 2,430 meters above sea level, you eventually burst through the mist and find a city sitting on a razor-thin ridge. On almost every side, the ground drops straight down for 700 feet. In 1450, the Inca emperor Pachacuti ordered a royal retreat to be constructed on this exact hostile peak. His builders had no access to the wheel. They didn't have iron or steel tools to tote rock. They didn't even have a written language to draft the blueprints. But the lack of tools wasn't the biggest problem. The site they chose sits directly on top of two intersecting, highly active earthquake fault lines. By all modern engineering standards, a stone settlement built on a shaking mountain with primitive tools should be a pile of rubble. Yet over 600 years later, the structures remain perfectly intact. This 3D cross-section illustrates a 2019 geological study. It shows two tectonic fault lines intersecting directly beneath the foundations of Machu Picchu. The Incas didn't build here by accident. They sought this exact spot out. Those tectonic forces naturally fractured the granite mountain over millions of years. This gave the builders an endless, pre-broken quarry of stone blocks, right where they needed them. The deep fractures in the rock also provided a massive built-in drainage system. When torrential jungle downpours hit, the water channels safely down through the mountain's faults, protecting the city's foundations from washing away. Moving from the bedrock to the walls, the Incas employed a technique called ashlar masonry. This is a method where stones are shaped to lock together completely dry, without any mortar, cement, or glue. The blocks were chipped and sanded by hand until the seams matched perfectly. The joints are so tight you cannot slide a knife between them. Because there's no rigid mortar to crack, the walls are flexible. During an earthquake, the stones bounce and slide. They dance with the tremors. And when the shaking stops, gravity pulls the perfectly angled blocks right back into their original locked positions. The builders didn't try to fight the mountain. They used the mountain's own destructive properties to stabilize their city. Above ground, the city required a steady water supply. The engineers tapped into natural high-altitude springs on the mountain slope, channeling the flow through precision-cut stone aqueducts. That water feeds into a series of 16 cascading fountains. The grading is so mathematically precise that the water continues to flow through the ruins today, 6 centuries later, without a single failure in the system. But Machu Picchu was designed to align with forces far higher than the mountain springs. At its highest points, the city functioned as an astronomical observatory. The Temple of the Sun is a curved structure integrated seamlessly into the natural bedrock. The eastern window of this temple was positioned with exacting intent. On the morning of the winter solstice, sunlight pierces through this specific window and strikes the central ceremonial stone at a perfect angle. The light was used to interact with structures like the Intihuatana stone. Carved from a single piece of granite, Inca astronomers used the shadows cast by its geometric tiers to track the solstices and predict changing seasons. Every terrace and temple served a dual purpose. Machu Picchu was an engineering fortress locked into the earth and a cosmic clock synchronized with the sky. Then, in the 16th century, the city went completely silent. It was abandoned. Archaeologists have found no evidence of a siege, no burned roofs, and no signs of war. The leading theories point to disease, an outbreak of smallpox moving ahead of European explorers, or a strategic retreat as Spanish conquistadors began dismantling the Inca Empire below. Without its inhabitants to trim the vegetation, the cloud forest moved in. Over the centuries, thick moss and vines completely swallowed the pristine granite, hiding the city from the rest of the world. It sat in darkness for nearly 400 years. Then, in the summer of 1911, American explorer Hiram Bingham III followed a local farmer through the dense Peruvian jungle. Slashing through the dense foliage, Bingham suddenly found himself surrounded by massive stone terraces and mortarless walls. He had stumbled into the lost city. The rapid abandonment of Machu Picchu turned out to be the exact thing that saved it. Because the jungle covered it so quickly, the Spanish never found it, leaving it the only fully intact Inca city on Earth. Today, hikers spend 4 grueling days climbing the 43-kilometer Inca Trail to retrace those ancient steps. Reaching the sun gate at dawn to see the morning mist clear over the sprawling ruins is an experience that regularly leaves visitors in tears. But the most consistent residents are the local llamas. They act as natural lawnmowers, grazing the terraces and keeping the grass perfectly trimmed, just as they did during the empire. Looking at these stones, you realize why they have survived. True architectural permanence doesn't come from forcing mountains to bend. It comes from building in deep harmony with surrounding nature. Machu Picchu proves that what humans dream, they can build. If you want to explore more engineering marvels that built our world, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.